Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin tonight in Chemung County, where one business is looking to harness the power of the sun. Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst has more on a proposed solar farm in the town of Veteran.
Good evening, Ann. A former airfield could be the site of a brand new solar farm, which will contribute more green energy to New York's electrical grid. On Friday, a Virginia-based solar company submitted plans for a new solar farm in Chemung County. According to the documents, engineers would lay out solar panels on a former airstrip near Old Sullivanville Road in Veteran. The property is over 70 acres. However, the solar farm will only occupy about 14 acres. The plan calls for 9,200 10-foot-high panels and solar modules to be installed. The solar farm would produce about 3 megawatts of energy, which will then be transferred to the electrical grid operated by New York State Electric and Gas. The Chemung County Planning Board will meet on July 29th to discuss the proposal. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
Applications are now available for New York's Public Health Corps Fellowship Program. The program will assist with immediate COVID vaccination efforts, as well as help respond to future public health emergencies. According to the Cuomo administration, the program will provide 1,000 full-time paid positions at state and local health departments. Applications can be found on the New York Health Department's website. New York's Department of Environmental Conservation is advising residents to be on the lookout for bears in the region. Bear sightings are more common in the summer as mating season kicks off and younger bears look for new homes. The DEC advises residents to keep their distance if they encounter a bear in the wild. Residents should also secure their garbage and keep their house free of smells to avoid luring bears. COVID case counts are on the rise, and so is misinformation about the vaccines. But as Britt Conway reports, battling misinformation has become a battle in itself.
We have a life-saving vaccine that can put this pandemic in the rearview mirror.
And yet, the CDC shows the vaccination rate has slowed drastically, even though fewer than 57% of people 12 and up are fully vaccinated. And cases are going up in nearly every state as the Delta variant spreads across the country. Health experts say misinformation and myths about the vaccines are also spreading through some areas of the country.
It's having a real cost that can be measured in lives lost.
We have to get the information out there that it is safe and effective, that I'd rather have the vaccine than the virus, and that we need people to get the vaccine.
But the best way to battle misinformation depends on who you ask. The White House has called out social media, specifically Facebook, as a breeding ground for false information. Facebook is pushing back and getting some support.
We can't be dictating to these platforms what is misinformation and what is not misinformation.
There are those who blame fellow politicians for vaccine hesitancy.
I would rather see us Fauci or Florida than have people go through death by DeSantis.
And politicians who say doctors, nurses, and community leaders need to step up grassroots efforts.
We know that this is going to be a person-by-person, shot-by-shot, conversation-by-conversation situation from now to the end.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
After a year-long delay, the Olympics are almost underway. But officials are now facing an increase in positive COVID-19 cases among athletes. Amy Kellogg has the latest.
With just 4 days to go until opening ceremonies in Japan, Olympic athletes are already testing positive for the coronavirus. But health expert and leading advisor for the Games, Brian McCloskey, says this was expected.
The numbers we're seeing are actually extremely low. They're probably lower than we expected to see, if anything.
At least 12 new cases connected with the Games have been announced since Sunday, including an alternate member of the women's U.S. gymnastics team. The team is screened daily for the virus and has only left their hotel for training since arrival last week. Meanwhile, U.S. tennis player Coco Gauff revealing she tested positive before leaving for Tokyo, while other athletes from around the world have tested positive upon arrival or after entering the athletes' village bubble.
It's how quickly we identify them, how quickly the cases are taken away, quarantined and treated and looked after, and how quickly the contacts are identified and put into isolation.
Critics have argued that the Games should never have gone on during a pandemic, with many citizens in Tokyo concerned they would become a super spreader event. But Olympic officials say safety measures in place inside the Olympic Village are doing their part to reduce this risk.
And the longer you stay in the village, the less likely it is that a test will become positive because we're filtering people out at every stage.
Coronavirus isn't the only health threat to both athletes and the public this week. A heat stroke alert has also been issued for Tokyo. This could end up being the hottest Olympic game in decades. In Florence, Amy Kellogg, Fox News.
Another weekend of gun violence in Philadelphia with more than 30 shooting victims, including 9 Sunday afternoon alone. 3 of Sunday's shooting victims were teenagers. The bloody weekend comes after Philadelphia reached the mark of 300 murders Friday, on pace to set an all-time record for the year. Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney says every city in the country is suffering from a wave of shootings like Chicago, New York, and Baltimore. The city's deputy police commissioner made a plea Saturday night for everyone to get involved in curbing gun violence after a baby was injured. The NYPD searching for a suspect seen on surveillance video vandalizing 2 religious statues. It happened outside a church in Forest Hills. That's a neighborhood in the New York City borough of Queens. Briella Tomasetti has more.
My solution is prayer. We got to pray a lot, and then we have to also follow up with some action.
A Queens community coming together in faith after a woman was caught on security video destroying 2 religious statues at the Our Lady of Mercy Church in Forest Hills. The vandal can be seen here dragging the statues across the street and then slamming them to the ground.
It's been a strain. It's been a rough year and a half, and then something like this is just like a little extra blow.
A witness who did not want Fox 5 to show his face on camera tells us he heard a loud smashing sound at around 3:30 on Saturday morning. That's when he went outside to see what was going on, but says he was too afraid to intervene.
I see this lady who took the statue off the church and she started smashing it on the ground. She was yelling, screaming. I was a little nervous because she seemed a little mentally unstable, so I wasn't going to go up to her and be like, hey, what are you doing?
According to the Brooklyn Diocese, the statues of the Blessed Mother and Saint Therese, the Little Flower, stood outside the church for 84 years. Earlier in the week, the statues were toppled over but not damaged.
I noticed people from the neighborhood, even if they don't belong to the church itself, they'll come by and they'll say a little prayer. It reminds them, the Blessed Mother, I'll say a prayer now. And there's some people, they'll deposit some flowers in front. So it's something, symbolic for them.
The same person is believed to be responsible for both attacks, and tonight a sincere message is posted to the shattered remains of both statues reading, "Please pray for whoever did this."
The Biden administration, NATO, and other allies are blaming China for cyber attacks, including a hack of Microsoft's Exchange server disclosed by the company back in March. At least 30,000 U.S. organizations are believed to have been attacked during a breach earlier this year. Madeline Rivera has more on the actions being taken to address and prevent future cyber threats.
In its latest response to a growing list of ransomware attacks compromising the country's security, the U.S. is calling out China. Senior administration officials say in some cases, government-affiliated hackers demanded multi-million-dollar ransom payments, some of them calling China's pattern of aggressive behavior surprising and eye-opening, as lawmakers in Washington raise the dangers of cyber threats.
We have no policy in the United States of America as to what constitutes an act of war on this country in the cyber domain.
The Biden administration says it has a high degree of confidence that Chinese cyber criminals were the ones behind a massive attack of Microsoft's email system. In a statement, Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the People's Republic of China's Ministry of State Security has fostered an ecosystem of criminal contract hackers who carry out both state-sponsored activities and cybercrime for their own financial gain. Several U.S. allies, including all NATO members, are condemning China's actions too. But the administration has so far not imposed sanctions, China emphasizing that its trade relationship with the U.S. is mutually beneficial, saying,
"Neither of us can win a trade war."
Monday's announcement, however, further adding to tensions between the U.S. and China, the White House issuing a blanket warning Friday to U.S. businesses working in Hong Kong.
We want them to be aware of the use of data, accessing of data inappropriately, of the restriction of information.
The State Department #2 is in Asia this week, but the U.S. is reportedly still in talks with Beijing as to whether a stop in China will be added to her trip. In Washington, Mala Rivera, Fox News.
In Germany, the flooding death toll has now risen to at least 163 people. Hundreds more are still missing, according to authorities today. A police spokesperson says he fears the death toll will rise even further. The majority of the fatalities have been in the western German state of Rhineland-Palatinate. Rescue operations have been underway in western German states. Meanwhile, more flash floods have devastated towns in parts of eastern Germany over the weekend. Still ahead tonight, a new method of gene therapy is being used to help treat children born with a rare genetic disorder.
Allows us to introduce the correct version of the gene back into the cells in the brains of these children.
How this could help treat neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. It was just a little bit warmer today than it was yesterday, because yesterday, of course, we did have a lot of thunderstorms moving through, and it brought rain, and it kept those temperatures a little bit cooler. But Elmira this afternoon reporting temperature readings that were about 10 degrees warmer than yesterday. Corning about 13 degrees warmer in Bath and also in Watkins Glen. We have a storm system coming through by tomorrow, so our chances of rain will start to increase in the afternoon and into the evening hours. But I think for the first half of the day, we are going to enjoy a little bit of sunshine. Our dew points right now around 67 degrees, so it still feels a little bit muggy outside. And for tomorrow, those temperatures will stay relatively warm, but very seasonable. But again, we do have the possibility of a few thunderstorms by the end of the day. But from 8 o'clock in the morning through about 4 o'clock, it looks like we're going to see some sunshine, readings in the mid-80s in the afternoon, and then dropping down to around 79 at 6 o'clock with that possibility of a thunderstorm or two. Our future radar is showing no rain for early tomorrow morning, but notice around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it looks like in Geneseo there will be a few showers starting off, and those showers will start to migrate to the south across some of our hometowns. By 7 o'clock in the evening, a few more of us getting in on the action, and it looks like scattered showers and thunderstorms will be possible from Tuesday night into early Wednesday. A few more showers and thunderstorms for your Wednesday, and some of these thunderstorms could bring some heavy rain with them as well. And then we should see a little bit drier conditions by the end of the week. But here's a look at your forecast for tonight. Expect some patchy fog. Temperatures dropping down to around 61 degrees. Highs tomorrow mid to upper 80s, 87 degrees in Corning and 88 degrees in Watkins Glen with partly sunny skies. But by the end of the day, there will be a few thunderstorms. Much cooler conditions for your Wednesday when finally that cold front comes through. Highs will be around 75. Overnight lows will drop down into the 50s on Wednesday into your Thursday. But notice a little bit warmer conditions moving into the weekend. Our overnight lows will also climb up as well, an indication that humidity will start to return. But over the weekend, look for highs near that 80-degree mark, and we're going to stay near the 80s as we head into early next week. This comes ahead of another storm system that could bring a little bit more rain for the middle of next week. That's a look at your forecast. We'll be right back.
A new method of gene therapy is being used to treat children born with a rare genetic disorder, and doctors are hoping that one day it could be used to treat neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
It's been a long road, but as technology continues to evolve, so does gene therapy.
Pretty much a fancy way of delivering a medicine to the brain through genetic means.
Dr. Christoph Bankovich is a professor of neurological surgery at Ohio State University's College of Medicine and co-author of a study published in Nature Communications. Their research involved 7 young patients between the ages of 4 and 9 living with a rare genetic disorder which causes severe physical and developmental disabilities. Bankovich and his colleagues used a new method of gene therapy which infused a benign virus programmed with specific DNA into precisely targeted areas of the brain. Doctors then tracked the spread of the virus in the brain through real-time MRI imaging.
Allows us to introduce the correct version of the gene back into the cells in the brains of these children.
Bankovich says the patient's symptoms improved dramatically. Researchers hope this same method of gene therapy can be used to treat other genetic disorders, as well as common and more complex neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. Clinical trials are underway. The hope, he says, is to not only slow the progression of these aggressive disorders of the brain, but eventually reverse them.
We learned from our mistakes. We kept improving what we are doing, and I think we are on the right track here.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
On the 1-year anniversary of civil rights icon John Lewis's death, his congressional constituents celebrated his life with a freedom ride. Cyclists from around the globe came together to cause good trouble. Barmel Lyons has the story.
I wish John could see it. I believe he's somewhere looking down on us right now.
It's a celebration of life and legacy 1 year after the passing of civil rights icon and Congressman John Lewis.
We love you. We miss you. Aunt Lillian, we miss you.
Family and friends celebrating Lewis's impact by hosting a freedom ride where cyclists from across the nation unite.
It's an honor to his legacy and what he's done for us as people, for this nation. So I'm just more than happy to be here to ride in his honor.
The Freedom Ride kicked off with prayer and reflections from siblings and family members at Southview Cemetery.
What are you riding for? What are we walking for? You know, that's something that my uncle did. He talked the talk, but not only he walked the walk.
Cyclists then riding to John Lewis's mural on Auburn Ave.
Continue to do good trouble. You see something ain't right, say something.
Rachel O'Neill, longtime aide to Congressman Lewis, tells CBS 46 the fight is not over, highlighting John Lewis's Voting Rights Act, H.R. 1 and H.R. 2.
The legislation, H.R. 1 and H.R. 2, need to be passed in the Senate so that we can secure the vote for everyone to vote.
Teen cyclist Antonio Benjamin says Lewis's memory has not only encouraged him to get into good trouble, but be a leader to generations.
Just continue to be courageous. I know our generation is pretty outspoken, and I would love to continue that.
Let's face it, mowing the lawn can be an exhausting chore. So, an Illinois man came up with a way to have the mower do all the work while watching from the comfort of his living room sofa. Julia Avery has the details and the special reason why he's doing this.
Picture this. It's a hot summer day, the grass needs to be cut, and you can mow it while enjoying a glass of lemonade in the shade. Matt Sabo in O'Fallon, Illinois made that dream a reality.
Go forward and go backward and left and right.
He made remote control lawnmowers. He says it takes 20 minutes off of his mowing time and helps with his grass allergies.
It helps other people who can't get out and still want to mow their grass. Things like that. It gives them that ability to still do what they enjoy doing.
Making these machines helps the user, but it also helps Sabo's family.
I actually build these and sell them really to help fund my daughter's genetic condition.
His daughter Andy was diagnosed with chromosome 18p-. Sabo works a full-time job, then comes home and works on the mowers on nights and weekends.
Not to mention going to all of Andy's therapies, all of her doctor's appointments, so it's a full-time schedule with everything.
His new business is taking off on social media. He's trying to catch up with the demand while also creating new products.
For all the seasons, because fall's going to come up, and what's everybody got to do in the fall? Rake leaves. I actually have one in the works.
Years after starting as a mail-order movie rental service, Netflix changed its whole business model and became the world's most dominant streaming service. Now they're changing things up again, adding video games to the menu. According to Bloomberg, Netflix will offer video games on its service within the next year. Games will appear as new genre on the platform, like documentaries and stand-up specials. Bloomberg reports Netflix doesn't plan on charging extra for access to video games. The next time you think you might be too old for something, we want you to remember this next story. Meet the 103-year-old woman who is still playing the piano and bringing joy to others. Jody Kurzman has her story.
This is just one of dozens of notebooks Hulda Erdman has filled with church hymns.
They're all favorites, I guess.
There are no music notes on these pages. Just words. That's enough for Hulda.
I play by ear.
She's never had a lesson and can't read music. But her love of music inspired her to give the piano a shot.
Started learning to play when I was young. Maybe 12, 14 years.
Music has always been her favorite pastime. It has helped her through some tough times.
I used to play all Sunday afternoon after my husband died, and that was my pastime, Sundays. Coming home from church, and then I'd sit down and play and sing. Wonderful words.
Hulda recently had a birthday.
Yes, the 6th of July. 103, getting all wrinkled.
To celebrate, she held a little concert for staff and residents at the Baptist Healthcare Center. Staff live-streamed that performance on their Facebook page. The video got thousands of views.
I couldn't believe it was all the way to Washington, D.C. and Maryland.
It prompted hundreds of birthday wishes and even phone calls from faraway family. Hulda isn't really sure what the secret to living such a long life is, but she says her faith,
the Lord was good to me,
and her time spent making music might be the keys.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. A spunky kitten is changing lives by helping kids with eye problems feel more confident about wearing glasses and eye patches. Truffles, now famous for her glamorous glasses, works alongside her mom, an optician. Danielle Kroll rescued the stray kitten from a forest in Pennsylvania nearly 4 years ago. Kroll runs her own practice in the state, where her primary focus is young children. When kids come in, many with severe eye problems that require multiple treatments, they are often terrified of anything coming near their eyes. That's when Truffles comes to the rescue. She hops up next to the child wearing one of her many pairs of glasses. Tears then turn into smiles, and suddenly those glasses don't look so scary anymore. We love the idea of those glasses. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.